The year was 2006, and Toronto became privy to what has since been called mighty cool, wonderful, adrenaline dripping, a must-see event. The Toronto After Dark Film Festival was born. The festival showcased the best sci-fi, horror, and fantasy films not yet seen by Toronto audiences. In 2007, the festival returned, bringing genre film fans more of what they desired most. And it continued, year after year, supplying genre film fans with some of the greatest Canadian and international horror, sci-fi, action, and cult movies available. But 2011 saw something different. Along with the standard films, audiences were also treated to the diaper rating. But where did this diaper rating come from? What did it mean? Many speculated, perhaps it was a rating of how shitty the movies were. Perhaps it was the opposite and just rated how good a movie was, man. We figure it's a combination of the two. The diaper rating indicated how many diapers you were going to fill with your own filth. That's right, how many times would you shit your pants due to the thrills, chills, and spills on screen? This is Toronto After Dark 2011.
Good afternoon, Cinemaniacs of Toronto. Welcome to Toronto 2011. Day 4. Sunday afternoon, and what a crowd we have. This is actually the largest crowd we've ever had for a matinee screening, an afternoon screening, for a Sunday screening, and also for a science fiction movie. So give yourselves a big round of applause for coming out. I'm the festival director, and it's my great honor to welcome you to this afternoon's Toronto premiere of Love. We have a filmmaker in attendance, so we'll be talking to him in a moment as well. And I know that title doesn't seem typically like a Toronto After Dark movie, but we'll talk more about it in a moment. I think you'll be very excited when you actually see this film. A couple other quick announcements. Some of the other films playing at our festival over the next couple of days that we'd love you to check out. Straight after this film, The Theatre Bazaar. This is a very cool collection of 7 horror shorts from 7 different very talented filmmakers, and we have 2 of them that will be here to present that to you. So give it up for those filmmakers. Karen Hussein, who's in the audience, and Doug Love. One of the reasons I know people are coming here to see Love is how stunning the film looks. The Theatre Bazaar is absolutely gorgeous. It's beautifully lensed. It's got a gorgeous soundtrack. And it's also got quite a bit of comedy in it, and even some love stories going on in all the twisted horror. It is quite bloody though, so if you're squeamish, I do not recommend you stay for Theatre Bazaar. And I know some of the audience here probably are a little squeamish. But if you do want to see something very special, check that out. And it has a gorgeous soundtrack as well, similar to Love. Then coming up tonight at 9:45 p.m. we have Midnight Sun. This is a very cool vampire thriller, made very independently, and again, gorgeous soundtrack, fantastic performances, and we have the filmmakers for that. I can't recommend it. If you want to see an anti-Twilight vampire movie, I cannot recommend Midnight Sun enough. No sparkly vampires, guaranteed. Just a very cool story about a young man dealing with vampirism and how it's affecting his love life, his job, and it gets him involved with all sorts of seedy criminals. It's a really cool, gritty thriller. Coming up tomorrow at 7 o'clock, we still have some tickets left to this, and it is getting close to selling out, so tell your friends. The scariest film in Toronto After Dark 2011 is here tomorrow at 7 p.m. Absentia. Come back with some real frights. It's a fantastic independent film, won a ton of awards on the circuit, and we have it here tomorrow at 7. And then another award-winning horror thriller with lots of great action and beautiful cinematography at 9:45, A Lonely Place to Die. You really want to come and see that as well. And Tuesday, there's a bit of a sci-fi apocalyptic theme going on in Love, and there is more sci-fi apocalypse happening on Tuesday at 7 p.m. with The Divide. I can't believe we still have tickets left for The Divide. Do you know who's going to be here on stage at 7 p.m. on Tuesday? Michael Biehn from The Terminator and Aliens in the air. Milo Ventimiglia from Heroes is going to be on stage here, 7 p.m. Tuesday. Michael Eklund and the director Xavier Gens, who directed Hitman and Frontier, they're all going to be here for a very special presentation, 7 p.m. Tuesday. Grab your tickets while you still can. We're expecting that to sell out. We've got an all-star cast coming, and it's a very cool, dark, apocalyptic film about the last group of survivors after an apocalyptic event in New York City, and the terrible things it does to them, but it's very, very cool. 9:45 p.m., one last film I'm going to plug tonight, on Tuesday. If you like sci-fi, check out Manboard. Very, very cool, cheesy and cult and awesome, low-budget sci-fi made by a local filmmaker, Stephen Kostansky, who also worked on Father's Day. Does anyone here for Father's Day? He did all the cool stop-motion effects that you saw at the end of that film. And a lot of stop-motion in Manboard, so very cool, old-school, retro and fun. So check that out Tuesday, 9:45. That's the last plug I'm going to do for films coming up. Please give it up for our supporters and sponsors, especially Anchor Bay, Rumor, and Space. And our special co-presenters tonight, the Nerd Mafia. They're really not that scary, and they're very, very cool. And also, please give it up for our volunteers. We couldn't do this without them. And our venues, the Toronto Cinema. Now on to the films. We have a very cool opening short film, The Weight of Emptiness, by Alan Fournier. And I don't know if Alan is in the audience tonight, or do we have any representatives in the short film? Anybody shake your hand? I'm not sure we do. Unfortunately, some filmmakers could not make it this year, but a lot of them have made it, including our feature filmmakers. So I'm going to introduce that now. I was in Montreal this summer, and I just walked into this sci-fi film I didn't know much about, called Love. And I thought, this doesn't seem like a kind of film that necessarily would be good for our crowd, but let's check it out. And I just felt transported, and it reminded me so much of one of my favorite films of all time, which is 2001: A Space Odyssey. And you want to kind of like film? So it's not just science fiction, it almost feels hypnotic and transportational in terms of what it does to your mind. The music is gorgeous. There's so many cool things going on in this film, and it's a real special treat. We're really pleased to say that we have the filmmaker who's flown in all the way from the US to be here today to introduce Love. Please give it up for William Eubank.
I figured 4 o'clock there'd be like 20 people and we'd all just kind of like share Cheetos and stuff. No, it's really a huge honor to be here at Toronto After Dark. I met Adam at Fantasia, and you know, it's just a really cool festival to be sort of in this small, sort of like homegrown but like gnarly band. So thank you guys so much for coming. And I don't know, we started this movie a long time ago, and it's a lot of, you know, it was made in sort of a different type of way. So it's hard to imagine that, you know, now we're at all these different festivals and getting to share it with you guys. But it's humbling and it's awesome, and thank you for coming.
One last couple of requests. Please don't forget to vote. This film is eligible for the Toronto Dark Audience Choice Award, so give it a 5 if you really love it, 1 not so much. Please turn off your phones and any digital devices. We hate at Toronto Dark to see those glowing screens. You know who you are, you iPhone, BlackBerry addicts. Please turn off those glowing screens, and if you see a glowing screen around you, just shout it off, okay? And if you agree with me, make some noise right now. And enjoy the film, and we'll be back for Q&A afterwards. Enjoy a cool short film, followed by Love. Cheers.
When you get into a situation where absolutely nothing's in your control, it makes you wonder.
The space station itself has been empty for a long time, right? I mean, so when you get there, there's going to be housework to do. stopped telling stories, everybody stopped relating. I think it'd be a horrible world.
If you don't talk to anybody, you don't interact with anybody, your whole sense of reality is pretty warped.
Journal of Captain Lee Briggs, 1864.
Let's hear it for love. Look at that. Something quite special. Without further ado, let's bring on the multi-talented filmmaker, William Eubank. Come on up. Take your mic. First, tell us all the different jobs you did on this film.
Lots of jobs.
Go on.
Cinematographer, production designer, guy with the skill saw, tile maker, craft service outlets. So. It's funny when you watch the credits though, you're like kind of like, wow, there's a lot of people. But 4 years, there's a lot of friends to call in and help you. So, but yeah.
And you also wrote and directed as well.
Wrote and directed, yeah.
Wow. And I'm going to ask you this question because this is 4 years in the making, and most of it was shot in your backyard.
It's a ranch, just on the record. It's like a big backyard.
Okay. But why and how? Explain to the fans, because I know a bit more about this than most. Why does this film look so stunning and sound so stunning? Tell us some of the secrets behind why that is this spectacular.
We basically started the film kind of as a series of music videos or whatnot, and then it slowly evolved into what you see here. But because we took so much time with it, basically. A lot of professionals would come on and they would see what we had done and they'd be like, oh wow, this is really cool, let me help you with this or whatever. So from a cinematography standpoint, I had been working at Panavision as like a prep technician for like 12 years, so I had a lot of time to take cameras out on the weekends and practice my so-called cinematography. You know, when it came time to editing it and doing the special effects, a lot of people, like Brian Verdant cut it, who did like Natural Born Killers and a lot of David Lynch stuff. You know, we just had some great professionals who came on at the very, very end after we already had a project to work with, and they just really dug it. So they basically did it for almost nothing and added a real professional polish to it.
And some of the special effects guys, they've worked on which films, did you say?
You know, I don't know what, I mean, like the main guy, 5VFX, that are up here, I think in Vancouver, he did a lot of work on King Kong and a lot of other movies. But and Zoic, which did some work on District 9. But I mean, it wasn't like that many shots. Like basically we got like, I think 12 sort of from outer space shots that Zoic almost donated to us. And then I think all the stuff you see at the end, the particle stuff, that's all 5VFX. And there was a few things in the spaceship that they adjusted, like the computer screens that like changed them to orange and stuff like that. But anytime you see the Earth out of the window, that's a washing machine front, and then it's my 42-inch TV just sitting there playing, I think, Planet Earth. But no,
you can cheat. Okay.
The funny thing about that is a lot of the time we'd be like, dude, you serious? He's like, why am I stuck here? Blah, 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 blah. and like all of a sudden planet Earth would take itself off of pause on the PS3, I don't know if any of you have that, and antelopes would be jumping out of That was pretty funny.
And tell us about obviously the Angels and Airwaves involvement has really helped with this film, and how they got involved with the project.
Yeah, basically that's just like Tom loves space more than anything. Like it's just all he cares about, you know. So he basically had seen some of my stuff and really wanted to do some sort of artistic pieces that went with their music, which is often very thematic. It has all these sort of like big themes to it for any of you that are fans out there. And he's, you know, we started to just talk about things that we would shoot as shorts. And then somehow from there it evolved into this sort of bigger project. And basically what ended up happening was we shot a few of the music videos, we put them together, and we're like, yeah, you know, this will never work. Like nobody wants to sit and watch this many mini stories without dialogue end on end. So let's rehash this. And I said, you know what, if we're gonna do that, I probably need to have a place that I can do this. So I was like, you know what, I'll go up to my parents' ranch and I'll start building a set. And when I'm done, we'll shoot and I'll come back to you and then we'll score, you know. And he was all about that because he's always wanted to sort of score a film, Tom. And little did we know, it would take me 2 years to build that set. So.
And you basically rebuilt the International Space Station, if you understand, or it's part of it.
I mean,
from mouse
I didn't
to
reason,
mouse.
you know, it's like, I ordered this anti-gravity machine, but it didn't fit. So that didn't work out. But yeah, the whole space station itself was basically built from stuff you find at Home Depot and stuff I could order on the internet. So it's like probably $17,000 in that spaceship. All those tiles that you see are all like hand cut, and I actually had to paint the sides of every tile because it was just from MDF, so it was like brown. I mean, I can't even tell you, like, I went through like 19,000 furniture staples to get the darn thing put together. Most of the cloth stuff that you see is packing quotes.
And how awesome does that space station look? Give it up for William. Let's open the floor. Some questions from people on this spectacular film we've just seen. Anyone want to raise a hand, talk about anything that's particularly their interest? Go for it.
Yeah, I just want to ask about the actor, how he came to be in that year that you real.
So what was it?
I just wanted to ask about the actor, lead actor.
Yeah, the lead actor, fantastic performance by...
Like how he got the job, or?
How he got the job.
You know, it's funny, I had been, before I had even met Tom and this whole project started, I was trying to like moonlight extra jobs out of Panavision. So like, cause I had a 9-to-5 there, 5 days a week, and I would like sort of advertise to people that I had cameras and I was willing to shoot their stuff for free if they would let me be the DP on their projects. And I got this job doing a Travel Channel pilot up the coast, like through Big Sur and stuff, for a motorcycle show. And I met Gunnar, and he just had kind of like, he looked to me like that astronaut from The Right Stuff, or from, you know, one of Kubrick's films. Had a very sort of like bland slate to him that seemed to me like very sort of astronaut-y, and I just thought like having a character like that was just very sort of right-brained looking, or left-brained, whatever the term is, and then trying to take him and arc him to being a left-brained person would be really cool. So I talked to him about the project. I told him, you know, this is just way up in the air, what we're gonna do, like, you know, there's no money, and you know, basically, I don't know how long it's gonna take to finish it. And he's an amazing sport. I mean, we shot for off and on for almost 4 years, so like for him to come back and do stuff, I can't even believe that he would give us what he gave. It's unbelievable.
It's just an outstanding performance, and though Gunnar wanted to be here, he couldn't. But let's give him a round of applause for a terrific.
It seemed like he gets on the little treadmill and he shoots across. We had basically the space station was built in a way that there weren't that many tunnels, and we would sort of maneuver it on these rollers to make it look bigger than it was. And so for that one, when he shoots by, there's only like 10 feet of space there. And so when you see him walk back across, like right, that's a real shot, and he's really pissed right there. And we took out the audio, but he's swearing because I had like 4 guys or 5 guys pull him on a rope, and then, you know, the space station was raised off the ground probably like about, I don't know, 8 inches or something. and we had some sandbags set up to stop him, but he shot off the sandbag onto the asphalt. And then he just gets up and goes, "Oh my God, there's a real film going to be stuntman, blah, blah, blah." And he was a great sport, and not only that, like a lot of time we were shooting at night, and it was in April, so sometimes it was freezing cold, and sometimes it was really hot, and he was in those like weird little shorts. Yeah, he was a great sport. And a lot of the time, he'd be like trying to get the scene across, and my neighbor would start weed whacking, you know, because we weren't in a sound stage, so it was tough. He did a great job.
Shoot. We've got some more questions on the floor. See your hand over there. Go.
Yeah, you talked about the space station. Could you maybe talk about the construction and the Civil War scenes a little bit?
The Civil War scenes, how
Yeah.
spectacular those were, yeah.
Oh, thank you. It's funny because when I watch this film, you're really seeing me sort of as a filmmaker over 4 years. Like I feel like you can, if you really sort of decide to feel it, you can kind of feel sort of my, graduation as a filmmaker a little bit. The Civil War stuff we shot last, and it was really because, again, it was sort of that field of dreams, if you build it, they will come type of thing, where we'd already finished all the space station, and Tom was like, "Oh man, this is awesome." And I had shot a little bit of Civil War stuff really early on, so when you watch that original scene with the general, anytime you cut to the side, you actually see him talk. That was 4 years later from when he shot behind him. So we're cutting 4 years back and forth the entire time, because, the original stuff I had shot, I had only had like, I think $5,000 to do it. Some of the shots made their way in, but Tom was like, "Oh my God, this is so cool. We actually have a film here. How much would you need to make the Civil War stuff really big feeling?" And so at the very, very end, I was kind of putting it off because I knew that meant that there was going to be a lot more construction and things like that. But he gave me probably 50 grand, maybe 60 grand to go back and do the Civil War stuff over. And that meant like shooting the dialogue stuff and doing a lot of things. I reworked all that stuff. And my brothers and I spent one brother was off on summer vacation, and my other brother had just graduated from Amherst. So we spent 6 or 7 months just like chainsawing those big, pylons that you see, and we built those fake mine entrances, and then we dug, these big trenches. And the cool thing about that Civil War scene is anyone you see that's like kind of featured, that's like my 3rd grade teacher, my 4th grade teacher. My 4th grade teacher, he's kind of like deaf in one ear. And I remember this one shot. I don't know if you remember, there's this shot where this guy runs right by the explosion, right by himself. He's just like, whoa, and it blows up right by him. I had to tell him, I was like, Mr. Rochelle, and I still called him by their last name. I was like, Mr. Rochelle, whatever you do, when you go out this door, we've got pyro all over right here, so don't go that way, go this way. And I'm right there with the camera. Sure enough, he just takes off running right towards the explosion. and we had a stuntman who was going to do it from behind, The guys who brought the explosions up had a stuntman who was going to do it. So the guy who's keying the explosions, he just sees the dude, he figures it's the stunt guy, and he sets it off. It's an incredible shot that we got on the Phantom, because you actually see the dust. The impact is so huge. You see the dust just go kaboom, like off of his shoulder as the impact hits it.
That's your former teacher being blown up.
Yeah, that's my 4th grade teacher. Teacher. So really wonderful people. I built for about 6 months and we shot for 2 days. So even though we had 50 grand, it's amazing how.
Doesn't that look like the most awesome $50,000 Civil War action scene ever? Fantastic. All these filmmakers out there that say you need millions of dollars to make an epic film, you can learn a lot from William. Okay, we got any more questions from the floor? We have a chance from over there.
What kind of research did you do for the ISS scenes? How close to reality did you manage to get that?
So for those at the back, how close to reality was the space station?
I had a giant, I think it's a Phaedon, I guess I say. It's just a big, expensive, space book on space in the United States. And I just was looking at pictures of the ISS in there. Now, I had copied as exact as I could the ports, so the things that he would sort of step over and go into the tunnels. And the tunnels were more things that I could sort of afford to build, because most of the space station, I believe, is square throughout. So my space station is more round, but I would study a lot of the just the amount of stuff that was in the space station. So I really tried to be accurate about the amount of things and the way they mounted laptops and things like that. And the ports are like exact replicas as much as I could make them. But the actual tunnel pieces that's a little like sort of what I could sort of imagine. I basically built those by building little half pipes and then building another half pipe and then flipping them up on top of each other. So we got interviewed by at Fantastic Fest in Austin. We got interviewed by a former astronaut who, not a former astronaut. He's a video game designer who paid to go up to space and spent a week in the space station. And he said it was unbelievable. He said even though there's like no gravity and all these other things, he felt it was like spot on in a lot of respects. Wow. So I don't know what that means, but it's legit.
Awesome job. We've got time maybe for one more from the floor. Do we see over there on the right? Sorry, I'm looking at you. Yeah.
Just story-wise, what made you decide to set the Civil War stuff in the Civil War? Was there a specific reason why?
So the story setting and
yeah, in a broad spectrum. I know the title is kind of crazy, but the movie is really supposed to sort of be a big metaphor for the ultimate form of connection, like what we can be as human beings, and like, you know, we have so much potential as like humans on this planet that I just feel like a lot of the time we tend to sort of just look down and focus on these ridiculous things when like we're as a culture and as beings, like we can get off of this planet, we can take rockets to the moon, and it blows my mind how with all that potential to do amazing things and to expand into the galaxy, you know, into the universe or our solar system or whatever, with all the potential, we tend to just like bicker just like with what's right in front of our faces. And I feel like and most of that stuff is just inspired from like Carl Sagan, Pale Blue Dot stuff, imagining what we as humans could one day become if we avoid, you know, sort of the ultimate anti-connection, which is war, in my opinion. I just happen to be a huge fan of the Civil War, and in terms of history in the U.S., like still on certain days in like Fredericksburg and different battles, more people in our country died on that one, you know, in certain battles than have ever, you know, passed away before. And to me, as a country divided and brothers fighting cousins and other brothers and stuff like that, it's just a great example of the opposite of love, the opposite of human connection, and what's sort of wrong with us as people. So, anyways. I don't know if I answered your question at all, but
I think that was a great answer, actually. Before we wrap up here, I want to just quickly ask what's next for this film in terms of distribution. For example, in Canada, I believe you don't have distribution yet?
I guess what's happening in the wild world of distribution, I think we're selling off territories right now at AFM as that comes up. And then I guess in the United States, like we had sort of entertained a bunch of sort of limited screening releases and stuff like that, but all of it takes a huge investment and things that we weren't really ready to do. And Tom, you know, has his career with Blink-182 and whatnot, so it just wasn't that enticing. So basically, we went to iTunes and actually just talked to Tom, like literally right now.
Yeah, this is just breaking news.
Yeah,
this is great for fans.
iTunes said that they will do the biggest release that they've ever done with a film, which is like they're basically our release, and on November 1st, they're going to do like a big thing, and it's going to be available on iTunes.
Fantastic. So look out on iTunes, November 1st. Wow. Thank you so much for
Blu-ray, so it'll just be the movie, I think, with the Blu-ray. I shot the entire 4 years. I shot behind the scenes. So when that stuff comes out, whether it's on Blu-ray or I think later iTunes will do another release, that I don't know. It's going to be really funny because the making of is hilarious.
The making of, I cannot wait.
So that won't be right away, but that'll be soon. So thank you guys.
Thank you again. Tell your friends.